We are jumping into cha1n versus DaHanG as our next matchup here for our latest week of Quake Pro League. And welcome back. My name's Ketchup, joined by Lethal, and we are continuing what has been the marathon of Americas today. And then we're jumping into EU and CIS for our featured matchups. Stay tuned for those. But cha1n, DaHanG, the kind of eternal rivalry, Lethal, of this part of the world. And going into it with slightly different storylines, I think, in this stage.
Yeah, I'm going to say the difference between these two now and the last time they matched up, I feel like DaHanG, now he's able to put a bit more time into Quake Champions. His aim is a lot more solid compared to before. There was a lot of, his movement was always still there. His adaptation was still there. You know, all the pieces of the puzzle he still had, but his aim was always sometimes a bit off here and there. And you could say he's still a very good calculated player, but it's very difficult to be like that when your aim doesn't follow suit. And we know that he likes to try and thrive on his combat skills if he can. But so far from what we've seen from his rail, his tracing, everything he's been doing, it's very, very solid. This is probably the best I've seen DaHanG's aim in quite a few months. And cha1n needs to be more than ready for this in comparison to before. Like, I know cha1n has beaten DaHanG before, but like not like this. This is probably DaHanG close to his peak. And now that he's got his aim skill back, it's a matter of what cha1n can do to try and combat this. You know, I think a lot of the champion and the map picks is going to be vital to consider how we try and predict this matchup, because it can really go either way.
Now, we'll look at those picks and bans when they're good to go, and we'll find out that it's Exile first. Ooh, cha1n gets the Athena. Always a good time right there. And then it's Ruins of Sarnath, Sorlag versus Ranger, and then Awoken as the final matchup. And the picks, I mean, everything here is something that we're used to seeing. The one element that, again, is a new one to me is seeing that Athena on Exile. It's not a pick that I've seen a huge amount, but hey, look, it's mobility. It's an ability. It's being able to traverse the map without having to rely on teleports to do it. And that can be quite an important factor. Doomslayer does have those extra elements to him as well. A pick that's consistently excellent for DaHanG is the Doomslayer, because it's just easy mobility, decently chunky stack, and he can put all of his efforts into the mind games and everything else that isn't movement, right? You haven't got to worry about it. And the rest of it, we'll see what happens. But, right, with what we know so far of this stage, who do we think has the edge? Because personally, I feel like I'm going to be backing DaHanG today, just because of this stage alone. But what do you think?
I'm going to have to completely agree. Like, DaHanG's aim, now that it's back on point and he's really shown what he's actually capable of, you normally see some signs of weakness when you watch like two top players in their region play against other opponents. So, for example, if they drop a map, if the scores are a lot closer than usual compared to when they've played against them, it's only small, minuscule things. But from what I've seen in the past, like you've seen cha1n drop that first series against Nosva in week 1. He's dropped a few maps here and there. There's scores which were just way too close for comfort compared to what we normally see from cha1n. But DaHanG's just all of a sudden just been dominating, and he's been having like huge score deficits in comparison to his opponent. He's been very, very consistent. And I've been watching some of his scrims on his stream, and he seems to be very, very agile. Like, he seems to be more than capable of taking any bouts he sees fit. But at the same time, he's still one of the best adaptable players in the Americas region. I think this version of DaHanG we're seeing now compared to, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 6 months ago, it's very, very scary. And cha1n needs to be very cautious about what he wants to do. He can't just ring around rosy DaHanG and like take these flanks like he could do back when DaHanG's aim wasn't at its best, because now it is at its peak. This is where he needs to take caution. If he doesn't, it could all go downhill from here. We'll see.
Looks like we've readied up. So we're loading into Exile very, very soon. And cha1n, this is quite a hurdle. He's definitely lower on the leaderboards than I think all of us would have expected. I know that his very first loss in Stage 2 was meant to be a bit of a wake-up call, and he was very, I think, self-admitting of that it was a message that says, right, I need to keep this grind up, because the grind was something that had excelled cha1n into the undisputed top 3, and I still think that's very much a case, for sure. But I think that there definitely seems to be some elements of weakness starting to show, and that's something that hopefully he can rectify today, because DaHanG is going to be a scary opponent. He always is. And it's much harder to find DaHanG having a bad day. And we'll find out if that's going to be the case as we now load into Exile as our first map. DaHanG versus cha1n. Who's going to get that first upper hand, we'll see.
Well, we will start with DaHanG POV. See what shenanigans he'll be up to. Manages to get the rail, so he's going to look for that first one. Sadly misses the second one as well. A little bit unlike DaHanG. I've just been beefing up his aim and his aim skill and how well he's progressed in terms of tracing, but not the best of starts, but it's only the first 25 seconds, still very early days as of yet. Both items will be coming up at the exact same time. DaHanG is missed 3 in a row so far, but he's using that tri-bolt afterwards to feed himself some information. Oh, he rockets straight across, and cha1n should be able to clean him up here beautifully. Very clean there from cha1n, as he will be able to pick up the Mega. The light is there for him too on that middle floor. And now he can decide what he wants to do next. As you can see, the items have been segregated quite heavily. And speaking of heavy, that will be coming up next. Good grapple hook is going to try and clean up as if he can. Yes, he does. And cha1n with the 2-0 lead. Hopefully he won't escalate too much, but he's going to try and pick up heavy at the same time. He can't. Does get a rocket for his troubles, but he needs to try and re-heal. And DaHanG knows this. He is trying to find him, but he's going to realise now that he's too far away and will be prioritising the Mega.
Liking the use of Athena so far. I kind of mentioned and teased to this at the start of the map that Athena is one of her greatest strengths, is the ability to maneuver around. Ooh, going down anyway. On extremely vertical maps without having to use a teleporter. Oh, the save! The save! Oh, no! But no! I told you! Hazardous!
Oh, no. It happens. Started to see it twice in one day. Well, the difference was that someone got LG'd off the map that time round when I think when he shot the rocket, got ricocheted back a little bit, sadly. But just one of those things. cha1n still has the lead. Stacks are a little bit similar. DaHanG has just picked up the Mega to change that, but not anymore after taking that rail shot. It's cha1n now. Good few rockets. That rail earlier will definitely help him massively. Oh, he took a huge chunk of damage from that LG. If he hit that rail, he should have been okay, but he's still trying to back away. He hears how weak cha1n's Athena is. Don't really take anything from that rocket, but cha1n has to back away. He cannot fight this anymore. Oh, he's very lucky DaHanG to make that rotation to the middle, but he's going to find him now. He's only on 29 HP, and what a rail. Absolute filth there from cha1n, as DaHanG has enough breathing room to get away, drop down to that rail area, and get away once again. But the LG for cha1n, 10 HP. Is DaHanG going to make the rotation for this? Yes, he will, but the grapple hook gets him out of a bad spot. But how long for here, Ketchup?
I'm loving the use of the grappling hook so far, Lethal. The fact that cha1n, it's seemingly difficult for DaHanG to line up a solid angle, an opportunity to hit a rail even. The speed of just how fast Athena can navigate around this map. Doomslayer's got the double jump, but there's no way he can compete with it. So if cha1n keeps this solid lead, it's going to be increasingly hard for DaHanG to open up a situation where he can actually get multiple rails in one sequence, I guess we'll say. And cha1n gets hit by one, but he's already gone. And he's well out of there. Tries to get it there. DaHanG has it lined up. Unfortunately, hasn't hit a lot of shots so far. And the LG pushes Doomslayer back down, where he's not going to be able to take the item. The rails haven't quite hit him. cha1n needs to be extremely careful here. DaHanG makes the perfect call out. They're going to try and take the light. But wait! Oh, he survives through the skin of his teeth. That could have gone either way.
Oh, I'm not going to lie to you. I was clenching onto my chair when I was always on 1 HP. I was like, surely not. But unlucky for him, DaHanG did actually manage to clean that up nicely. Almost re-healed. Just be careful about the chip damage cha1n could put on him, as was thinking of going for the next light, but instead he's going to back away and see if cha1n actually goes for himself. But good little nail gun jump there with a double jump from the Doom to pick up that light. He has restacked, but how is he going to go for this heavy? As cha1n is the one that actually grapples up. Beautifully done there by cha1n. A lot of these frags he's been getting on DaHanG have been very, very clean, very smooth.
Sorry, I just saw a cat on DaHanG's player cam. right as I looked at that frag, DaHanG's cat's in the background. Anyway. Ooh, not quite able to land a shot here though, cha1n. It has been mobility, the magic word. An impressive showing so far. I'm not even halfway through. This has been a incredibly back and forth map so far. Again, DaHanG's just trying to gauge where has cha1n gone. At this stage, we get some rail ammo. cha1n has a good amount of armor to work with as well.
5-minute warning.
As Mega spawns next, the next objective taken by DaHanG. Heavy. Ooh, lovely little rail. cha1n ready and prepared. 2 of them back to back. Doesn't quite get the third, and DaHanG pushing forward with that LG just to make it even scarier to push forward and challenge. That's the heavy. Both items. Gets the catch. Ooh, DaHanG. He has so much armor to work with that he will be able to push up that jump pad confidently. But can he lick his wounds? Oh, that rocket was so close.
Dear me, this is definitely a game and a half. We're only halfway through map number 1 of this series. It's DaHanG now just standing his ground. He wants to try and contest the heavy, but that was a little bit risky. He decided to go for the flank and hoping that even if cha1n does go for the heavy and picks it up, then it will do enough damage to make up for that heavy loss. Oh, good rocket there, good direct. He could clean him up if he wants to. He's not railable, so he has a window of opportunity to see if he can clean him up, but it's a little bit too late now. But cha1n is on the back foot. DaHanG has plenty of time to try and pick him apart if he wants to, but that first rail has made DaHanG a little bit weary as to if he wants to pressure him or not. But still, look at cha1n's stack at this moment in time, as DaHanG is looking to see if he can try and push up or not. But cha1n is doing a good job just getting away, standing back, making sure that DaHanG can't push him enough to put him on the back foot and keep him at bay in a certain area of the map. But he's realised the light is gone, and will he be cleaned up nicely? Yes, he does, and DaHanG is the one to tie things up. Good first rail as he went for the rail. Didn't fall off this time, Ketchup.
That was a lovely shot.
Matter.
He didn't have much of an angle to work with there, and he gets all the damage he could hope for. Right as the heavy gets taken, so there's not much for cha1n to work with anymore. If that rail connected at the very beginning, we would have instantly seen another frag. DaHanG, although he could be brave and stick to it, does not want to overextend now as this light should be spawning soon, perhaps. There it is. Breathing space for cha1n to somewhat stabilize, but the timing and the items, they belong to DaHanG. And this is his ticket to success in this first map if he can keep it up.
I was a little bit weary about DaHanG's weapon selection then, but he was tempted to keep that rail out, but switched to rockets anyway just to be safe rather than sorry. Still 2.5 minutes left between these two juggernauts to find out who's going to take this map. But even then, it's still too close to call. Yeah, sure, DaHanG's had the item control for the last couple of minutes, but cha1n is still doing a good job contesting and being able to get away. But as I say, that cha1n loses that frag, maybe a bit too overzealous to go for that heavy. Now DaHanG's got it. He's managed to pick up the Mega, got a huge stack, but cha1n needs to do a lot better with his chip damage with the rails. Both of them have actually been missing quite a lot of shots as we're progressing into the last couple of minutes of this matchup, but they've both had very good tracing with the LG. DaHanG looking very healthy. Huge advantage here for DaHanG if he wants to try and push up, but decides to prioritise the heavy, which is completely understandable, not without taking a rail hit from cha1n.
This style is DaHanG all over. He knows he has a lead. It's not a giant lead, but with less than 2 minutes on the clock left to go in the rest of this map, the objective is far better suited to DaHanG if he's able to just keep all the items away, right? If I keep taking all these items, damage cha1n when I can, but make sure that his actual avenues for a comeback in the terms of decent stack gets taken away, cha1n does not have a lot to work with to stand a chance to even come close to bringing it back. And at this point, DaHanG, the frag's lovely, and he probably will at this point. Ooh, narrowly able to get up there, but the question is how long can cha1n survive? cha1n now has to run away, bring the stack back up, try not to die, even though that choice is no longer his to make. All while at the same time DaHanG is keeping you behind. Like, this is done, for sure. I would be shocked if this goes in the way of cha1n now.
Yeah, especially with the stack as well. It'd be a little bit surprising. cha1n, 40 seconds left, nice rails. And I kind of feel like both these players have missed a lot of rails this game, but the LG and the rocket prediction have been making up for it nicely. So I kind of feel like this is kind of a warm-up game into the series. I think we're going to see a lot more, especially with the rails going into the next couple of maps. But so far, we've seen very good plays from DaHanG. cha1n had a very, very good start. But even saying that, though, let's still 20 seconds left. The Mega is up. If he actually tries to strangle a hold on DaHanG, he could be okay here. But DaHanG's, he's just delaying it way too much. He can just go through the tellies, he can try and get away if he wants to. He's got the double jump to give him a slight edge around the map. It looks like he's perfectly safe. A little bit worrying at one point, but yeah, 9-7 in favour of DaHanG. Well played. Didn't really show that element of aim skill, which I talked about before in the pre-match. But then again, he's done his deed, he's done his duty. All his movement and his adaptation was phenomenal. 511 more damage in favour of DaHanG, and the item control was very similar to both of these players.
It was, and in those closing moments, the only time I think we'd need to get worried for DaHanG is if cha1n found him pretty much straight away. But that's a hard call to make because cha1n, off the back of that frag, had no armor. I mean, going up against a medium champion that at least has some kind of weapon to cause damage, it was, if there was a chance of taking that comeback at the end, it was very, very slim indeed. And exchange near railgun. I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of those exchanges on this map. Exile, God, it's so easy to accidentally fall off, or in this case, get knocked off, whatever the case may be. But DaHanG, pulling it out in the final stages, and I just loved the way he approached kind of those last 2 minutes. The fact that there's really no getting around the fact that the plan was not to chase, it was not to secure extra frags, it was maintain the control, starve away anything that cha1n might want to bring the map back, and it worked out perfectly. But cha1n's use of Athena, I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. It's a style of Exile that I had not seen in Duel yet. But the second cha1n picks Athena, you know there's going to be some kind of magic happening. He's personally got my favorite Athena to watch in all the community. But that is simply the first map done and dusted. So we now transfer over. Ruins of Sarnath next, I believe. Ranger versus Sorlag is going to be the pick. And cha1n coming in with the mobility once again. But we'll see if he can pull it out. DaHanG has gone into this as the favorite purely just in how the stage alone has gone. If you asked this before stage 2, people would probably be like, oh, yeah, I think cha1n, because he was a real up-and-comer, and he's still excellent, don't get me wrong, but DaHanG is kind of returning to that form, and it almost feels like we're starting to go back to how things were, perhaps.
Yeah, I can completely agree with that. Even in that last map on Exile, he's using Athena to the best of his ability, not to his full potential, but enough to really, catch DaHanG off guard on many occasions. He wanted to go in quick and fast, just due to the fact that, I don't think he'll be prepared for him to, he's probably used to playing a bit of a slow game against cha1n at first, and then let things pan out after a period of time. But he just didn't muck around. He got those first 2 frags, and he was coming back at one stage. And I kind of feel like the momentum was heavily in his favor. You could see his rail was a lot better during those last 30 seconds to a minute. But if he's like that from start to finish in this next map, then it will definitely help wonders, if you want to see comparison. But I'm sure these two won't be railing as bad as they were before. But then again, a lot of those missed rail shots, it can happen sometimes. It can happen, especially on a map like Exile. But this is Ruins. We're going to start with DaHanG's POV. This is map number 2. If you're just joining us, DaHanG is currently up 1-0 in this series, the 4th series of the day. We're going to see if DaHanG can take the series, or if cha1n can actually say otherwise and equalise the scoreline.
Now cha1n is getting a considerable amount of LG damage there, and DaHanG not really able to land much at all. Without a rail, going down for these items, only taking the light when he knows that cha1n was not nearby, listening for those audio cues, but he just didn't have much to defend. The bunny hopping nature of Sorlag, it can be a bit weird landing those rockets on her sometimes, and the fact that he didn't have a rail at any moment for the range damage. Now he has one, but it'll be piece by piece, chip it down, cha1n, the acid spit, but he's taken so much LG damage himself, the damage over time, giving cha1n all the information that he needs. That DaHanG is coming around the corner though, and he sets up a second frag. 1 minute and 2 frags already. This is already quite different to what Exile gave us.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if DaHanG can make a comeback here. I'm sure he will, though. A very intelligent player, has been for years. And it's still early days yet. Only 1 minute and 20 has passed. cha1n just abusing the mobility just to keep DaHanG guessing. But it needs to be a bit cautious as well. It doesn't travel too fast and get trapped by a rocket or an LG whilst DaHanG's waiting for him to make the first move. Good rail there from DaHanG. That was very, very important. He now needs to give up the Mega, but look at this, DaHanG, again, very unpredictable. Thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go for it anyway. I'll leave the Mega, I'll leave the Heavy. Heavy's coming up 3 seconds later past the Mega, so it doesn't really matter. But can he get this nail gun, though? Some good rockets. Definitely has advantage in terms of stack, but that last rocket isn't going to help too much. But cha1n not looking at his healthiest, but DaHanG could actually give him the chance to build up the weapons in his arsenal. He's backed away, he's picking up the light, he's going to prioritise rehealing, completely understandable. But what is he going to prioritise? Even the Mega on Heavy, as both items are about 3 seconds in terms of separation. Looks like we'll be going for the Mega, and it's going to leave the Heavy at bay. He knows once it's coming up, he's delayed it just a little bit now. He's going to delay it for the next few seconds, because if he does, then that way he's going to try and build himself a stack if he gets some chip damage, and then he can contest the Heavy in a much healthier position, you could say.
The rail is going to be an important factor of that first opening of the fight. cha1n was looking for it. DaHanG maybe a bit closer than cha1n was prepared for. Optimization coming out from DaHanG, but he can't make it count in terms of a frag, but he puts himself in a situation to grab both major items, and that in its own right is a victory, as cha1n left with the scraps down near Heavy. And there are a few lights to soak up down there, so he's going to be able to get himself back up just a little bit. cha1n is playing the kind of slippery defensive game so far. He needs to be careful, can't concede one unchallenged rail, really. Speaking of, there it is, and now cha1n is railable. Heavy is going to belong to DaHanG, as he's in a better position. The fact that he got Mega first as well. Here comes that rocket jump. Why not? Lovely bit of spam from cha1n, but that health bubble stopping the bleeding. Oh, but he just a little bit, a couple of ticks. That's enough to give cha1n some information. How useful that information is remains to be seen, because he still needs armor, but it's the obvious one. Boom! That shuts it down, and the second rail to finish. I almost feel like cha1n at that point would rather spawn with a full stack, right as Heavy's about to spawn.
Yeah, I can agree to some extent. Yeah, and also, you know, even if it takes some of that acid spit anyway, you can just burn the light afterwards rather than using a nail gun. So it's not, you know, a huge loss in any way. But in terms of DaHanG, in terms of his aim, it's starting to look as though how I've seen in scrims, where he's predicting the shots a lot better. His aim's improving as the series has gone on. But again, still early days. Only 4 minutes has passed. 2-2 between these two players. Playing a lot more of a calculated approach and methodical compared to what we saw in Exile, where there was a lot more aggression, a lot more, you know, counteractive and using your initiative in a lot of areas. But you can see now that DaHanG's just holding his ground. Good direct, good second rocket. Didn't do a huge amount of damage, but it kept him away. And luckily for DaHanG, from that acid spit, the health bubble was always there available for him. If it went for that, he'd have a long way to go to find the next one. But still looking good. Heavy's come up in the next 8 seconds. How is DaHanG even going to contest this, though? Looks like he may be dropping down bottom middle if he wants to. Instead, he decided to go down the jump pad to pick up this next Heavy. Realises that cha1n is not there. He's probably a little bit surprised, but he knows at the same time that the Mega is about to pop as well. That has been picked up. The items are not segregated as much anymore, so the difficulty of actually being able to try and contest the Heavy will be a bit harder. But DaHanG looking very good. cha1n also doing a good job just trying to keep himself away from DaHanG with a good LG. Acid spit doesn't really do too much there. Good rocket though. That's going to be enough to say hello to DaHanG, to actually push straight in and get that third frag. But look at this though, just playing ring around the rosy, but that's not going to help with that direct. Good clean frag there from DaHanG, as he's got plenty of HP, plenty of stack to work with. He could get a fourth here, considering the stack advantage he has, and he's only got a try roll. Beautiful stuff there from DaHanG with 4 minutes and 20 left on the clock.
And that's 2 separate times DaHanG was able to use that really tidy dire orb to control both items. In this case, secure a frag at the same time. cha1n, he's not in an amazing position, but he does manage to have a rail at the very least. But it's not going to be his objective right now. Tri-bolt spam just a little bit. Was able to hear the Heavy, but DaHanG, he's been in control this whole game. The items have by far belonged to him. Just to give you a quick recap, it's not only the lights too. He has more lights than cha1n. He has 8 Megas compared to 3, 10 light armors compared to 6, and then 7 Heavies compared to 5. This is DaHanG all over. He controls the items. You play his game. You play at his pace.
DaHanG's been doing really well, yeah, in terms of his item control. He needs to bully every single item to its full potential. If he doesn't, and he lets cha1n, especially with the Sorlag, get the stack, get out of hand, it's very difficult to even try and recover at that point. So DaHanG knows that if he loses control, it could be all downhill from there, and then that's where cha1n will get some momentum back to actually make something happen. But Saying that though, cha1n has taken off a lot of his armor, has picked up the Mega, and now really contests the Heavy. He's not really too sure on the stack. He doesn't really want to take the risk in case DaHanG does drop on, for example, a random rocket or a rail, but that direct is going to massively help DaHanG. It's going to delay cha1n by at least another 10-20 seconds until he decides how he wants to approach this. That missed rail may cost him a little bit. That rocket's made him fall off. This is cha1n's chance to make something happen, but again, after taking so much LG damage, it's going to be at a disadvantage. Good control with the Mega, and great rail to finish off cha1n there, as he's got 3 frags to make something happen. Heavy's coming up in the next 2 seconds if he can actually stop DaHanG, but he doesn't. He should be able to pick that up, no problem. And now DaHanG's got a 4 frag advantage here with 2 minutes 15 left.
That was all cha1n could do. He'd only just spawned, and he didn't even have time to grab a nail gun first before dropping down. He had to go start a machine gun only, which is why he had the gauntlet out. I think DaHanG knows that, which is why he stuck around. He truly believed he could win that fight, and, you know, go figure, he did. 2 minutes on the clock now as DaHanG is on the verge of a 2-0 against cha1n. Can cha1n start the momentum right now, or is DaHanG already thinking about shifting gears here? We can see this defensive movement backing up, making it so difficult for cha1n to challenge. All of this is taking time, wasting time. The missed rail certainly doesn't help, and he gets tagged by 1, looking for a second, 7 seconds until Mega. Surely cha1n cannot stick around too long here. The rocket's coming out as well. He is once more going to be left with the scraps, and there's not much else to work with. 1.5 minutes left to go, 4 frags. DaHanG, this is where he shifts around, gets the rail. He's just going to back up now, and he will play like this for the rest of the map because, I mean, it's what you do. It's what you got to do.
Yeah, you might as well. 34 HP, and, you know, DaHanG's had most of the item control, 21 items, 12 lights. And even then, he can just do what you normally do on Ruins, you know, pretty standard. Either hide around the back stairs of Heavy, or just stand on that jump pad on Heavy, and that way you can waste at least another 5-10 seconds. You just got to be careful with the saw lag mobility from cha1n. But how's he going to do it, though? This is the next question. Oh, Heavy's free, so cha1n can at least make something work from that. But, you know, it's not always the back stairs or the Heavy jump pad. DaHanG, you know, likes to be unpredictable. He'd rather hide somewhere different. But
oh no,
he didn't actually see him, but he shot the rocket anyway. And he's taking him down. And his stack isn't the best, but it's enough to take this next fight. And Mega's up in the next 5 seconds. He wasn't really too sure whether he should just go for it or wait, but it looks like he's trying to look for DaHanG rather than just force himself through. But if he takes him out, here, he may have a small window, but it's not going to happen. There's 15 seconds to waste. It is. That's pretty much said and done. 15 seconds left. DaHanG gives him a nice rocket to the face anyway. And that's going to be it. DaHanG is up 2-0 in the series and takes that 7-4. Very clean, very smooth, and good item control over the last 4 or 5 minutes from DaHanG.
The game changer was the moment the Dire Orb existed. It came off cooldown, and that's where everything changes, because you have the extra mobility, you have the extra damage. In that instance, DaHanG was able to do damage and escape at the same time, so even if the orb didn't kill, it didn't really matter because he's now near jump pad, and it's the classic point where when someone has to play that defensive game near the end of Ruins, they do like to hang out near Heavy because it's just so weird trying to challenge it. There's so many different ways you can go, and it takes so long to do it, that it was just good decisions there by DaHanG. And cha1n, to give him his credit, did make it close near the end. It's just that DaHanG had such control locked in from an early point. There was a considerable point before cha1n could even get a single item for a fair old while. He'd get 1 here and there, but it's not enough. It would be swiftly undone by DaHanG. He was able to get yet another win, and we're going into the final map, but at the end of the day, the victory will go to DaHanG. The question is, can we get that kind of bonus map on deck? Is DaHanG going to continue the dominance, or is cha1n going to soften the blow just a little bit?
I like DaHanG's attitude in a lot of those fights he had as well. You saw earlier on when he's in the light area where he was doing ring around the Rosie, and when obviously cha1n took that direct rocket, DaHanG was just very, very calm, very passive. He was chill. He was like, do you know what? You can sit there all day if I have to. At the end of the day, you're going to get taken down no matter what. And a lot of those frags, he was very calm and collective. It was nice to see that he has so much patience waiting for cha1n to make that first mistake. And when it came to some of the aggression he had in the early on in the matchup, again, looked very, very strong. He didn't really sacrifice his aim so much with the aggression he had pushing up on cha1n on multiple occasions. But that's all we need to do. Just the full item control, make sure he keeps away from it, because he knew that as soon as cha1n gets that full item control in a huge stack, especially with the soul lag, it's just going to go all downhill. And you saw there was a small window where cha1n was actually looking for him, even with the weaker stack, but still had the weapons to make use to even take him down. But DaHanG just did a great job, just made sure that he didn't hang around the same, the usual common spots, the back heavy stairs, the heavy jump pad, or maybe like down below, like somewhere to at least, give it so that if your opponent does catch you, then it's going to be at least another 10 seconds wasted. But waiting at that telly was a good play for DaHanG, just to make sure that he's not sitting in the usual common spots most players normally stand in, when they've got the lead and they're on the back foot. But I have to see if this third map is a resemblance of what we've seen in the first two.
Woken's loading in now, so it won't be long until we go into the third and final map here between DaHanG and cha1n. For those that might have just joined us, DaHanG has the series win, 2-0 at least. But now we're finding out whether it's going to be a 2-1 or a 3-0. Remember, in Season 2, every map counts when we're talking placement by the end of each stage. So let's begin. We're checking things out from DaHanG's point of view first. It is utility versus utility, cha1n and the Galena.
We haven't seen the cha1n too much on this map, so it's nice to see him again on the Woken. I'm sure he's going to cause a lot of trouble with little Timmy. Already absorbed one of the totems. Not the best of starts, but then again, DaHanG does have the height advantage with those rockets, so cha1n knew that he had to back away. But he hasn't got a rail yet, so he really needs to try and push in if he can, but he won't want to push for the telly now. Good LG, look how clean and smooth his accuracy was as he was going up those stairs. Even though he's taking the Mega, he could be able to clean him up here. Yes, he does. And already a 2-0 lead. And cha1n can't really let this spiral out of control.
Yeah, 2 fragged in this short space of time is not an ideal way to start a duel, but he has plenty of opportunities to bring this one back. Let's just hope this isn't the beginning of maybe things to come. Now, these rails are not connecting, so there's an opportunity. A little bit of health here and there. Heavy, just about to spawn. There's that health totem. He saw it too. He knows that cha1n's going to be pretty healthy, but that rail is going to nullify and take away all of the armor. Looking for these rockets. No rockets are hitting at all! DaHanG goes for the sneaky little shot, the tri-bolt as well to keep him away, and cha1n is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Thankfully, he's able to get away, but yeah, DaHanG, he's had you on the edge of a string so far. What is DaHanG's rails? They've just been consistently so unusually sick. He hits the weirdest shots without scoping, and these weird drive-by rails that something about DaHanG always able to hit them.
This is what I'm talking about, mate. Like, literally, I've seen him in a lot of scrims. He seems much better compared to what we've seen in previous months. He seems a lot more calm and collective. His aim is just improved dramatically with his traces, especially with the rails. Because I always found that with DaHanG, where with his rails, they seem to be very inconsistent, and you can see it in his face, or after he misses a few shots, he goes, come on, I shouldn't be missing that. And it happens every single time, and I think he's managed to rectify his mistakes because he's able to play a lot more. Which kind of shows what happens when you're, when you're actually available to put more hours in. This is the kind of DaHanG you normally get, but so far, it's early days in this third map, as DaHanG does get that full frag on the board, 4-2 in favour of DaHanG. cha1n is doing a good job so far, not letting this map get out of control. Very, very weak. Oh, he overextended just a little bit. Maybe he thought it was a bit weaker than he thought, but he had to take some risk to try and even out the playing field. But so far, both a similar stack. DaHanG is available, but he's nowhere near around as of yet, as DaHanG's picked up the heavy. He's going to be pushing for the Mega in the next few seconds. He's just a little bit worried that cha1n may actually push for the Mega first, which he did. Maybe he could have got there early, but he hasn't got the all-seeing eye like we have, so he decided to just wait and see if he does pick it up, and if he does, he can do some chip damage. But so far though, DaHanG is looking very good, and again, the tri-bolts are just absolutely disgusting. Pushing for the rockets, really about to clean him up. Yes, he does. Airstrikes him down with those rockets. 5 frag deficit here.
We push forward just to get a little bit more rail ammo, just for good measure. The items are starting to go into the favor of DaHanG for yet another time. cha1n, his weapon situation it's just not been very good. He's consistently just not had the weapons he needs to compete with DaHanG at the ranges that DaHanG is trying to bring it to him. By the time he finally gets one, he's taken so much damage that he's not even in a position where he's able to utilize it. Here comes even more rails. There's the second. cha1n goes down again. DaHanG. Oh. These rails are proving to be quite troublesome. Takes one now, sure, but just keeping the perfect cycle. cha1n is in position for Mega. Can he get it? I think by all means he should be able to, but he wants the frag first. He needs to put a massive offset between the two items. Can't get the rail. DaHanG. Oh, he's able to dodge every single one. How is he still alive?
Just look at this though. DaHanG, his discipline has improved, you know, to no end. Like his aim has improved dramatically as well. All the pieces to the puzzle which he needed really, but couldn't really put together, has now been rectified, and it can only get better from here. It's just very chilled, you know. He's got so much patience, just letting cha1n do whatever he wants, and then prepare for him to actually take him down. Good rail, almost hit the second as well. Well, that's from what you saw there. It's going to give up top mid control, but cha1n isn't going that way anyway because he hasn't got the stack to go for that engagement.
The thing is, that Mega that DaHanG just picked up, that's the second Mega he's had all game. He actually has not had much of it, which is kind of strange because normally you associate sometimes Galena as the champion that tends to not prioritize Mega as much because of the totem placement, but DaHanG's whole game plan, it's just been so heavily built around just catching cha1n in these weird situations where he just gets pasted. Oh, max damage, tri-bolt. That's considerably more than a direct rocket, my friends. That definitely does not tickle.
Oh, this is what I mean though, like cha1n, you wouldn't think that cha1n is the one who's had more item control, would you, considering the circumstances, and he's almost done almost double the damage, you know, 3400 to, you know, cha1n's 1800, sorry, 3500 to 1800. He's just doing so much work, and he's just been so consistent that, you know, it's not even just small elements of his play here and there, it's literally across the board. As it is 11-2 now. I was worried that things may spiral out of control, and that combo with the rocket to rail, just again, more filth to be had and for us to witness. Still a 9 frag deficit. Still got 4 minutes left, mind, but the way DaHanG's playing is just ridiculous.
I mean, this is going to have to be a rather ludicrous comeback for cha1n to make. Yeah. Technically, you could say he has time because of the nature of this map being, you know, I don't want to say snowball heavy, it's no corrupted keep, but it's small enough that you can definitely make these things happen. But you need to equalize on the understanding that DaHanG doesn't get any more frags as well, which is definitely asking for a bit of a miracle at this stage. DaHanG looking real good to close out things 3-0 here versus cha1n. More than re-cementing his position in the Americas as this consistent killer in the brackets. Lovely rocket.
I would love to say yes, but, you know, and try and hype this up, but DaHanG's already made the scoreline too big, too quick, and still 3 minutes 10 left. And hopefully after this matchup as well, cha1n's going to probably realise to himself, okay, you know, I've got to do what I did before and grind, step up my game. And he definitely can as well. We've seen it in the past couple of stages. He hasn't had the best stage, but we're sure he's going to come back like he always has done. 10 frag deficit now, 13-3 in favour of DaHanG, 51 HP. cha1n's got 2 minutes and 50 left to work with, but it's very, very unlikely it's going to happen. Turret just literally just doing all the work it can do. He's pretty much a teammate at this point. Finish him up the rail. He's going to go around behind him with the LG. Will he clean him up? Yes, he will. cha1n's pretty much letting him have it, and is already given the GG even with the 2.5 minutes left, which we all pretty much knew anyway.
I mean, that's it. There's really no way he can do it. I believe cha1n, yeah, this is a done deal, and the map will be over. But at the very least, we have 2 minutes left on the clock. I mean, Quake Champions, there's no kind of GG option. There's no kind of a surrender or forfeit, I suppose. But we do know the win will go to DaHanG right now. 15-3, but at this point, we're going to ignore the scoreline. We're just going to say dominant, decisive victory for DaHanG. Unfortunate for cha1n. You know, he's definitely going to be disappointed with this. But there's a lot of reflection, I think, for some players in Pro League needing to be done as we go into the Stage 2 finals, right? There are players that need to just look at what's going on and realize, right, where am I going wrong? What's different now compared to before? Because DaHanG, he's going to be feeling himself all the way through the end of this map. Ooh! Nearly got ring out.
Yeah, I just want to know what's changed with cha1n, really, like in terms of like why he's so different this stage compared to last stage. I suppose one day when we actually get to interview him, maybe for one of the matchups, I'd love to ask him a few questions on, like, you know, what's changed differently, like, you know, this stage compared to last stage, because before against all his opponents, it wasn't even close. But now, like, people are kind of like matching up to his skill level again. Or maybe it's the fact that everyone in the Americas have improved, because we have to be honest, a lot of players in the Americas have improved. Like Nosfus improved, Max has improved dramatically. Zanaku is the best I've seen him, since he started in the Pro League. It's maybe it's just the fact that the Americas players have improved a lot more. Like DaHanG, for example, I always said that his aim has always been a little bit off, but his movement and adaptation has been, incredible. But now that he's fixed his aim and rectified some other minor issues, he seems to be, doing really, really well and a force to be reckoned with again.
And we just close out this map, really. Not much else to say that hasn't been said a million times as DaHanG re-establishes his position here. An absolute solid top 2 in Americas. The 17-3 map at the last minute. Every frag here, simply bonus frags, because at the end of the day, look, it's 3-0. That's where we're going to be finishing things here with our America's journey for today. Stick around, because after this, we will be getting our featured matchups. We'll be bringing in DJ Wheat. We'll be playing some heavy-hitting 1v1s as always, but this, 10 seconds away from coming to a close.
Yeah, what could we say about this series? DaHanG just played absolutely out of his mind. Everything that needed rectifying has been fixed. Obviously, there's going to be a couple of minor things here and there he knows he needs to work on, but just phenomenal stuff. It's just incredible that it was even a 3-0 victory. Like, we saw, a sign of life from cha1n in the first map towards the end. And even at the start, the first 2 maps, he had the early lead, but, lost it quite quickly. Just DaHanG just made the games look so smooth, so crisp. It just shows how much more of his work ethic he put in, and like how much discipline he had in a lot of those fights just made just a world of difference to his gameplay.
I really thought we were going to see a 2-1 today. I strongly thought we were going to see a 2-1. 3-0 was not what many of us were expecting, perhaps. However, it is what it is as DaHanG. I think I don't want to talk about this series like it was kind of cha1n not playing to his full potential, because it does seem heavily like this was a big part of it being DaHanG displaying excellence. Now, you mentioned he's been scrimming a lot on stream. He's been getting right back into the practice. The grind always continues, as I've said many, many times. And with a player like DaHanG, who was already at a crazy good level, the second he starts to knuckle down and dedicate a little bit more, reaches scarier heights still. And the rails in that final map were, I think, a real tell of that. But if anything, he kept solid control, perfect timing on the items. Again, all 3 maps, it's what he's famous for. And he was just playing some damn good Quake.
Yeah, he was. We were playing like DaHanG. If you've got all those aim, then what can you do, really? It's one of those things.
There we go. We just saw that's Athena's grappling hook, for those that don't know. That's what that looks like. So we're going to finish off our journey of Americas today with our 4th series. And now it is time to set the stage for the 2 featured matchups of Quake Sunday. So we're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by a very special guest, as always, and Quake Pro League will continue.